Yes, people, welcome back to Process. Today we're joined by another guest. We've got Danny Rippon. In fact, I call you Ripton. I say Ripton all the time. It's Rippon, isn't it?
It's Rippon.
Danny Rippon. You know what? I wrote it down and I knew I was going to get it wrong. Danny Rippon. But Danny is a PT in Newcastle at Sculpt. Been there for quite a while now. Me and Danny have been mates for a while. He's also boxing as well. So I'll be interested to talk a little bit about that as well. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.
So first things first, did you see Kitch's podcast when he talked about the assault bike?
Yes, I did.
He placed you and Kitch last place. So he said it was him and Adam maybe up there, and you and Kitch would be battling out. What's your opinion on what he said?
No, I think you had it right, to be fair, but the assault bike's just one of those things. I don't think anyone likes it. Like, you gotta be kind of sick-minded like that. But
I don't mind. I quite like it because I've always cycled and stuff, but I've never really used it before. But that was probably the first time I've done a proper session on it. So I was like, the pain was just.
That's always a big thing for me. Is my quads just anything. Quads are always one of the first things which will burn out, and the assault bike is exactly that.
Yeah, I know. So people need to go watch that YouTube video. I should somehow try and clip it over the video just so you can see. You were rolling on the floor at the end. Ben was on the floor at the end. I always had my legs up in the air. It was ridiculous, but so who we went out with you and Kitch then? Little Kitch, Ben.
Me and Kitch. It's a hard one, because sometimes I think he's a really fit lad, and he always has been, sort of thing. So, but I'm one of them people who, I don't know, I'll always try and beat him, and I think we are quite close in that sort of, because we're the exact same weight, and roughly the same fitness. So it's just on the day, I think.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to sort something out after lockdown, and get it sorted.
Yeah.
Get a session. So just to start with, be interested to hear kind of your story. I know you obviously do boxing as well, but how you got into personal training. Maybe take it back to don't know, when you're leaving school. What were you like at school? Where did your kind of interest and stuff come from, both in boxing and personal training?
Yeah, so I suppose I'll start when I first started boxing was when I was about 13 years old. So it was just something that I'd always wanted to do because I knew my dad done it, and I used to watch his VRS tapes or whatever they are, videotapes. Something that I always wanted to do. I started playing football when I was about 10, just with my mates, a football team. But yeah, I first started boxing when I was 13, at Dunstan, because I remember the night before, I think I'd watched Rocky. And it was just one of them where finally I'm going to do it. And then I went and boxed for Dunstan for, how long was it altogether? Maybe 3 years, and left for a bit, and then came back when I was older. But in between that, started PTing. I remember I done my level 2 when I left school at 16. I think all my pals sort of went to sixth form. I went and done this funded course, done my level 2, and that took us the full school year for that next year. And then from there, I sort of went and done a little bit of labouring and stuff like that. So I couldn't find anywhere to get a level 3. I was looking for sort of apprenticeships and stuff in level 3 because I didn't have a lot of money at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just one of them where some of the courses were $3,000. They were going to take too long. Blah blah. I didn't want to do an online one. I wanted to do one face to face. And then it probably took us about a year and a half to get my level 3 done from that. But in the meantime, I was just sort of labouring and doing groundwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Getting a nice bit of money, and some of the meet some of the funniest characters on building sites and that. Really.
I know it is. I've been helping my dad out a little bit here and there because he's he's got a floor laying business, and I've been a few sites just dropping stuff off, not actually working there. And, there's some crackers, they're all just mental.
Oh man, it's class. But I knew that was just going to be sort of short term. and then I finally got my level 3 with the same company who I'd went with, but there was sort of a grant off the government, and then I ended up doing that. I remember, it's funny though, because I always laughed at, like, it was a 3-week intensive course that I'd done
Yeah.
for my level 3, and it always just sort of goes to show that, like, how many bad PTs are out there.
That's a topic to talk about, isn't it? I know, it's crazy, isn't it? The
I think we
people,
had I think we had a 100% pass rating, like, and believe
yeah.
me, some of them there, like, didn't really know what was going on.
I know. Like I've had, well, when I went for my interview at my gym, because they did like an interview process at the one I was going to, I had about 10 PTs, and I remember we had to do a group little exercise where it was like an example class. I think they call it synergy or something like that. So it's like circuit training, and we all split into groups of 5, and we all had to like demonstrate a session ourselves. So we all individually chose an
Mhm.
exercise to demonstrate and walk through. Then one of the I think it was a woman who was there. She was like, "Brendan, can you how do you demonstrate a deadlift?" And I was like, "You're joking, us, aren't you? Yeah." She's fully qualified, just qualified personal trainer, and they couldn't explain the deadlift. I didn't know the technique. It was
Yeah,
like, I don't like, and it was just
and
like, it
you're
just
gonna
goes to
be
show.
you're gonna be going out taking money off people, and more importantly, probably getting them injured or giving them a bad
Yeah,
experience with PT.
it is scary like that. It's that it is some degree there is like obviously some difficulty to passing and becoming qualified and stuff, but like the setup that you were on about, like companies like that just want to get people past, so they'll do anything to get them past. But then they're
Yeah,
out there in the world, and like you said, they're there to help people, and you want people that are actually gonna help people and keep people injury free. So it is scary that.
and the worst thing now is that you've got, like, social media, which
Oh man,
obviously I know for you it does, because you're on there and you work hard on it, and so do I. But a lot of our clients will come from, whether you know them or not, it'll come from social media because of this, because they see you all the time doing stuff.
yeah.
I think that it's really hard to judge a good PT off social media.
Yeah, everyone's doing it as well, aren't there? There's a
Yeah,
lot of also PTs out there that may have big followings and stuff like that, and they're giving out information which you're looking at and maybe thinking like, oh, that's not right, but they've still got all the followers, but you're grafting away and you've got the knowledge. Like I both know that we've both got the knowledge kind of thing, and we're putting
yeah.
a lot of time into our clients and stuff. That you see these big followers that are putting out false information, and then people are looking up to them saying, oh, that's what they're doing, kind of thing. Maybe what you're doing's not right, kind of thing as well, which is a bit frustrating at times. I feel like
It's
social media is massive.
very, very frustrating to watch people with big platforms, especially celebrities, doing, like,
Oh
got
God,
this brand of shake, like, meal replacement shake. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
I know it's
you definitely haven't maintained that and got into that shape of doing these replacement shakes.
yeah,
You'll probably have you're a celebrity. You've probably got a personal trainer, a nutritionist, and you've probably had to work hard for it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I actually know. Well, I don't know the celebrity, but I know somebody who knows the actual trainer of the celebrity who was promoting us in one of these shakes or whatever, and they're like weight loss meal replacement shakes, and I know that she was promoting this shake loads and loads and loads. But she's actually had a personal trainer for 6 months prior, which lost her all that weight, but the personal trainer didn't get any credit for it at
Yeah.
all. And I know that somebody who knew the personal trainer, and they were absolutely fuming about it, that they're promoting this shake, which has been a Bertie was saying, I think like, I lost all this weight and I built all this muscle around my legs and my bum and stuff like that, which girls like mostly want. But she didn't
Mm.
promote the personal training and all the hard work that she's been doing. She put it all to this one shake. And like,
Yeah.
as a young
And then
girl
where's
who's
the
looking at
integrity in
that,
that?
what's it? Sorry,
And then where's the integrity in that? You
I
know what I
know
mean?
it's not only bad that she's promoting that, it's probably got a big following as well. And then all these young girls and stuff are looking, saying, "Oh, right, I need to buy this and drink this, and this is going to lose all my body fat and build muscle where I want it to and stuff like that." But then also that personal trainer who's put all that hard work in the last few months is just getting zero credit whatsoever. It's not helping her business when the idea is, where I'm going to help you, and then you're going to give a good word for us and maybe like pass it on to your friend or word of mouth sort of thing. That's how
Yeah.
you that's what you rely on as a personal trainer. A lot of it's word of mouth and
Yeah,
like giving
well,
someone a transformation and then
definitely. I think like we said, social media is a big one, but I think everyone forgets about word of mouth. Is like,
oh mate, yeah,
it's the most, because it comes from a true place where you have got a little bit more like
yeah,
sort of integrity about it, like where you sort of would believe someone who's went and experienced that. So
yeah.
I think for us, word of mouth is definitely a big thing. Like,
Yeah, I think when you're starting out, especially as well, because you probably don't have a big social media following, you're just kind of your way of getting clients, like especially if you're in like an environment where you're on the gym floor and you have to pick up clients that way, like word of mouth, you might get like, you might try and for a week's work, you might get one client, and that one client, if you need to deliver the best session possible, get them what the transformation that they want or whatever they want to achieve, and then their word of mouth is what you rely on to pick up the next client sort of thing, rather than like if you've got 10,000 followers on Instagram,
100%.
like 10,000 people are going to see that, maybe not 10,000, maybe half of the people might actually see that, and then you're going to pick up clients that way. But starting out, word of mouth's massive for PTs. So we'll talk about a little bit about your PT journey. So where did you first ever start personal training?
First ever start personal training was, well, we always used to, I remember, this is going slightly off topic just for a second, was when we first started training, I first started training with Ben Kitchen.
Yeah.
Me, the leave school, like finish school and then go straight to the gym and would watch like videos on YouTube. Would watch like Mike Rashid and CT Fletcher and stuff.
Yeah. Overtraining. What did he used to say about it?
That was the that was the thing. It was
about
branded over training, like,
yeah.
It would be like chest day would do like 2 pyramid sets, a pyramid all the way incline, pyramid back down, decline,
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, so I was always sort of PTing. I sort of learned quite a lot of stuff from that, and then ended up just like training all my mates out of like the gym or wherever we were training at. Like, they'd always come and train with me, and we'd all train together. I'd put a session together, and I used to like really enjoy it, and that's sort of where I knew that like sort of PT was probably what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So then coming back to when I first started PTing was when I was about 18 at Energy Fitness in Bladen. So like quite a commercial gym, quite a lot of older people in there as well. But actually a perfect start for me, a perfect place to start at, because there wasn't many PTs there at the time. Things had just started to change over, and then I remember because one of my mates knew the manager there, and she was looking for people to teach classes, and then she texted the day. I remember I was in Asdan. He passed her on my number and was like, "Oh, can you cover this kettlebell class tonight at 5:30?" I was like, because I was dying to get a start, because I couldn't get a start anywhere. I was like, "I definitely." I was like, "Fucking never used a kettlebell in my life, but yeah." Literally going on YouTube, watching kettlebell workouts, like looking at kettlebell swings and stuff like that. So then, and then I'd done that class for like, I think it was about 12 people in there. And it went all right, and then I just sort of came in the next day. I said, "Look, I'm wanting to personal train here as well. He's got any jobs?" And then they just let us start straight from there.
Oh, perfect. Were you nervous going to that first class?
Oh, so nervous, mate.
It's
So nervous.
terrifying.
Because you know what it is as well, the thing that I missed out, the one before that, right? She'd message us a few days before that, say, "Can you do a boot camp?" And that would have been the day before, 'cause it was on a Monday. We do a boot camp for us. I says, "I'll do a boot camp," and now when I'm dealing with that. So I got it was like a 6 o'clock class in December. And it was outside. So I got there, didn't know anyone. I was just sort of grabbing loads of kit from inside, taking it all out, getting my class set up, had everything written down like to the time, and then no one showed up. like zero people showed up, and
Yeah.
so that was a bit.
So you
So
just
when I
treat
went to
yourself.
go the second one, that was the first thing I asked was like, how many people was doing it, and she was
Yeah.
like, oh, like 12 or whatever, and then. Yeah, I remember being quite nervous for that, but I don't know. As soon as I got going and started, like, because I'd done the session as well, it was just something that
Yeah.
it wasn't that hard.
You do get a little bit like I remember my first session, but my first PT thing was I would have been how old was I? 23. I would have been 22. So I'm a little bit older. And obviously, I played football for this. So like I know it's like getting nervous for stuff like that, but I still went into a class. It was I can't remember what it was, but I turned up for the first day of work. And then my gym manager was like, "Oh, this is my class, but I need to shoot off for some reason." So I had to go and cover it. I think it was like 15, probably like 12, 15 people again. And then the speaker wouldn't work as well. So I had to demonstrate my first ever class with no music whatsoever. It was the most awkward 45 minutes of my life, honestly. But I was crap myself. And like I said, I've played football and there's a lot of pressure in that. And I've done other things that are like high pressure sort of thing. But just going into a gym room, like never doing that before in front of a group of people who want you to do like, I can't remember what class it was now. I think it was just like a HIIT class.
Aye.
And I was just like, what do I do here kind of thing. And I can't actually remember what I did. It was probably a terrible session. But I got through it 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I had like a bums and tums one after, which wasn't too bad. Like a
Aye.
small group of 5 or something. So that wasn't too bad. So that felt really easy after going through that. But even I was like, even sometimes now, if it's like a big class, like we can get classes up to 25 at my gym, that you get like teeny little bit like nervous, but not like it is nervous, but you get like.
Well, that's natural, isn't it?
Yeah, it's natural to like. There is a little bit of pressure, like, but now like there's been times where I've like slightly messed up with something. Like I remember I demonstrated something, and I accidentally tripped over a kettlebell, and you just laugh it off, kind of thing. Now you learn. The best thing to do is actually make mistakes early on, because then you learn afterwards.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It doesn't just laugh it off.
Yeah, I mean, going into them big classes, like you say, with like a lot of people, I don't think it would be fun if you didn't get nervous to start with, though, because like that's just all part of it. Like you get nervous, you get in there, and then like the first good thing happens, and then you're like, get in, like
yeah, you do get into
I'm
it though,
in now. Yeah.
And the feeling afterwards, I always get a good buzz after doing like a good class kind of thing as well. I quite enjoy the big group stuff, and like, everyone say, "Oh, thanks for that," and then you've done a good session. And I think because if you do have that nerves beforehand, the feeling afterwards is even better. Like it's the same with anything you do. If you're nervous beforehand, like football wise, I was always nervous before games, but afterwards, obviously, hopefully you win the game and have a good game. You feel mid.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the same with you. Like we'll get onto it talking about boxing and stuff, like
100%.
nerves before a fight and the feeling after, but we'll talk about that. But like if you're a new PT or somebody who's just going into any sort of job that you've not done before and you're nervous, it's good.
Yeah.
It means you care about what you're doing as well. If
definitely.
you're nervous, you probably wouldn't care.
In the thing is, like with the classes as well, I've seen some really bad instructors. Like there's some really good instructors who instruct for a living, and they'll do like 7 classes a day, and they'll be like a freelance, and they'll be at these different gyms. And then you get some who come in and like watch them, but people don't really. If you're in a commercial gym, some people don't really know the difference sometimes.
Yeah.
Like some people are just in there for like to have a hard session, no matter whether the session was actually good and structured right or not. It was just whether they got in this. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there was
calories.
When I first went to the gym, there was actually a lifeguard who'd been at the gym because there's a pool at my gym. The lifeguard had been there for years and years and years, and he said, "Oh, the one little bit of advice he said to me is like work them ridiculously hard and don't let them stop. Don't keep them moving for the full time, because all they want is literally just to move." Because I'm a commercial gym as well, so literally you could put any sort of session together. Like, I like to structure it kind of thing, just because that's all they're getting like working the full body and the balance everything out and all that stuff. So, but literally you could do literally anything. You could do star jumps like for like a minute, change it to like burpees, and then you just alternate that for 45 minutes. They'll have a sweat on and they'll probably feel good after it. Like you can do anything rather than like, right, we're going to do a vertical pull in this one, we're going to do a horizontal push here, and then like thinking about structuring it that way. So yeah, just as long as people get a sweat on in that sort of environment. Obviously it's different when you kind of go to like where you are right now with sculpts and stuff. You want to structure it, you want to periodize it and stuff.
Well, the thing the thing that I would definitely say for like younger PTs and instructors like listening as well is like when you when you're doing them sessions, like I think a lot of time I spent in them classes was actually just educating people, like,
Yeah,
and not just smashing them to pieces and making sure they can't walk the next day, but like actually taking the time out to fix this person's squat, to fix this person's bent over row. Like, no, this is
uh-huh.
how, like, they've been in the gym for 10 years and nobody's fucking told them how to do a proper
Yeah,
squat.
it's
They're
crazy, isn't
squatting
it?
with the legs like out here and the knees caving in. It's like, and as long
Yeah,
if you do that, they're going to remember you. And like,
yeah, 100%.
he's fixed my squat within 10 seconds. Like, no one else has ever bother to do that. And then you're probably going to be like, I took a lot of clients over from that gym to sculpt with me in my groups.
Yeah,
And that's definitely one of the reasons why, because I actually took the time out to help them instead of just
yeah,
like, instead of tricking and just succumbing to what they sort of wanted. I would say, no, look, we're not going to do this for, this is what we're doing. We're doing strength training. We're going to like lift heavier weights. He's all using 6 kilogram kettlebells. Go and grab a bloody 12 instead and
yeah.
like do the thing properly.
That's the thing with like, especially like, kettlebell swings is a big one. You see people doing like 4 kilogram kettlebell swings and they're just front raising it. That's all they're doing. They're just doing front raises with a squat.
Uh,
Like I say, right, go and lift that heavy weight. It's going to force you to actually do the technique properly. You're going to learn. Like I
yeah,
always tell people to do that. But what you said about actually caring and actually helping like people in the classes, because I've seen people in my classes that can't lunge. Like they've never done like they've done lunges, but it's like they just step the foot back and step it forward. And like, and
yeah,
if you just give them, like I say to them sometimes, right, well, there's 5 minutes after the class, because obviously it's hard. It is hard sometimes to when you're doing like say like a circuit sort of thing to try and fix someone's technique when you've got you want to kind of spread your attention to everybody in the group. So I just say to them like, all right,
yeah,
afterwards we'll just do 5 minutes, and I just want to like try and help you with your squat, your lunge, or your overhead press, or whatever. And then, and like you said, you can pick clients up from it because if they see that you're caring
100%.
about them, or you can even say to them, look, we'll do one PT session just so I can teach you all these things, and then when it comes to the classes, you're fine, you saw it, and then maybe they do the one session, they're like, oh, I might book 2 sessions with you next week, sort of thing, and then it can go
Yeah,
from there. So you're both benefiting from it, but like yeah, just actually caring for clients will take you a long way. But
100%.
so moving on, so you were PT and obviously energy in blading. So you've moved on to sculpt now. How's that been with you? What's your focus kind of thing at the minute?
What was the first question? Sorry.
We're just saying
How was
like
that?
so yeah. So how are you finding it at sculpt? I've been to the
Oh,
gym. It's a wicked gym.
oh yeah. It's yeah. We've had a couple of sessions there in there, haven't we?
Yeah,
It's a wicked setup. Like really good. And it's sort of like the best thing that I've done is to move
yeah,
over to there. Uh, and like I do absolutely love it. Like the group training and
yeah,
like it's just it's a good place to work as well.
yeah,
Um, obviously Adam, he's sweet. It's his gym, and like you can tell that he's one of them people that's just everything for like just to keep pushing to like excel and excel, and I'd come up with ideas and say and just have a little and it'd be yes or like give you a straight answer. Yeah, it's a good idea. No, can't do that at the minute.
yeah,
So that's pretty good. And then it's pretty much the perfect gym which I want to be at. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Barbells, kettlebells, slam balls in bulk,
yeah.
um, dumbbells, the basics, and
Assault
just it's one
bikes.
of them, when you go in, you know, like it's one of them. It's
Yeah.
got a vibe where people are all working hard in there.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. The one thing that stood out for me when I first went there is like the environment, the atmosphere. Like it was exactly what I like. The tunes are blasting. You could see everybody in there was working hard. And if you surround yourself with people in that environment, like all the PTs in that gym are quality as well. Like Adam,
Yeah,
Pitch, yourself, everybody. I briefly spoke to the band. I haven't re-spoke them probably, but everyone seems like they know what they're doing and they're in the ball in that mindset. If you're
yeah,
going in there daily and your clients are going in there like 2-3 times a week, like you're gonna like change your mindset. You're gonna be like change yourself physically.
exactly. That's
Just
a massive thing which I've seen from my clients is like just a shift in mindset, like
uh-huh.
to not get to like really push yourself to like these hard limits in the
Yeah,
time that you've got to work. But that was one of the reasons that I wanted to go there, and like because sort of it energy, I was like I was sort of top of the pile for PTs. I was full. Like I had 20 clients, all training 2 to 3 times a week, working at least at least five hours of PT a day, up to like 9 hours of PT a day.
Yeah.
And like sort of that's where I was like at full capacity. I couldn't make any more money. I couldn't grow any more really. So that was the nice changeover to Scope, doing the groups and then going in there with some quality coaches like Kitch and Adam and like all the other coaches are now like really good. So it felt sort of, I don't know, because I know for a fact that it's good to put yourself in them positions. So it sort of felt good to not be at the top of the pile anymore and to like have something to like really like work towards and people to look up to and people to think like, right, well, like he's got that many in his group, I want that many in my group, and like got that mentality.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's that old saying. It's like you'd rather be a little fish in a big pond. No, was it? Yeah, little fish in a big pond than a big fish in a little pond kind of thing. Because if you're that big fish in that little pond, like you're not gonna want to push yourself because you're gonna be very comfortable at that. Like, oh, like I'm top dog here kind of thing, and it's gonna like your ego's gonna be up there kind of thing. But when you made that transition to somewhere else, you're like, right, this is where I want to be at. They're there. I want to be above them. I want to be the height of the best one there, sort of thing. You've got to push yourself. Like it makes you push yourself.
Yeah,
Which I think
it's that big thing, like pride versus ego.
Yeah.
Let's say if you're someone who's quite egotistic, you'd be quite happy being that big fish in the little pond where you're the best.
Yeah.
But then like if you strip back that ego and you go for pride rather, you're always looking to just be better in yourself, in what better place to be at than somewhere where you can learn from other people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big thing as well, learning from other people. Like if you always think if you're that big fish in the little pond, like you're always going to think that you're right, you're the best kind of thing. But then you've got to open your mind up. Like there's always
Massively.
someone out there who's better than you, or someone who's working harder than you. So you've got to look at them and think, right, what are they doing? I need to do the next thing, kind of thing. I need to be one step ahead of them, sort of thing, to get up to them. Which
100%. I'll go into other people's classes and do their sessions. Like Kitch has got a group in after me. I'll jump in and do his session. Because like I think it's a thing as well. Like me and Kitch sort of train our clients similar, but then you've got like Adam and Josie and the others who are more involved in the CrossFit side of things, and then they'll do sessions completely different to ours. But then you'll always like go and go, it's a good idea. I'll take that into mine, and like it sparks a new idea, and you think, well, why don't I do this instead, and put your own spin on it as well.
That's the thing. It's not like you're copying. Like a lot of PTs are doing very like the CrossFit stuff. Like everyone's doing similar stuff. It's just putting your own twist on it, and everyone. I think the CrossFit kind of like they call it like functional training is becoming a lot more like popular now. Like I've been using the stuff like I see. Like Adam puts a few good stuff on workouts and stuff on Instagram and stuff, like doing the 12, 15, 9. I've started doing a few things like that, just as like a little finisher, like a few exercises, 21 reps, 15 reps, 9 reps, and just bashing through that. So little things like that you can just pick up and then like add your own. If you're like more quote unquote bodybuilding, you can add like a bodybuilding twist to a CrossFit thing. It doesn't have to be strictly like CrossFit.
Nah. That's the thing with the whole fitness industry as well, which I like, is that there's no real set rules to follow. But like going back to just if you're just still like sort of a novice PT and you're still starting out, is to definitely take ideas from other people, because people think that like that this is they've done that, so I can't do that, and you've got to realize there's an abundance of ideas in business things that you can be doing, but just make sure you're educated on the matter before you do it.
Yeah, I know.
But I think a lot of people are actually scared to do try new things on social media, because it's became a place of judgment where as soon as you do something I've been doing intermittent fasting for over a year now, but I just started to post about it recently, and I've seen a few other bigger people with bigger platforms posting about it, and then you've got like James Smith, like apps and other people intermittent fasting, blah blah blah, like just slating it for the total wrong reasons. And it's like, so I think people are a little bit reluctant to sort of try new things and say, look, hey, this is what I'm doing at the minute. I'm going to see how it goes and see how it pans out and see how I feel
Yeah.
and work it out, because you've got someone else going, well, I've heard such and such say that it's a bunch of shit and that you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And like,
And like people do, especially if someone like James Smith, who's got a lot of following, do say something like that, people jump on the bandwagon and think, right there, right, 100% right. But I see, well, to be fair, I'm the same. We'll talk about fasting in a second, but I see not only training, but your own body is almost like your own little experiment in a way. Like, try different things. Like, if you if you're having, say, joint issues or something like that, like there's a lad who I know, he tried going gluten free for a bit, and he found that worked really well for him. And like, I'm not to say that that's going to work well for everybody. Like, it might just be it might not be the gluten free thing. It might be something that like he's particularly eating that has gluten in it that might not work. But trying different things, and fasting, the same thing, which we'll get onto. Like, I found that's been great for like my digestion, a little bit of information, recovery, sleep, a few different things. And then training wise, like, just because I don't know if you're not copying, but somebody up there is like, who's got a lot of following, is doing a certain workout and you're copying them. Somebody says to them, "Oh, you're just copying them." Like, you're not really. You're just using their techniques and then just add your own little exercises and stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with completely copying. To be fair, if it works.
If you see a good idea on whatever Instagram or whatever it is, you'd be stupid not to follow up on that good idea that you've seen. Like, it's not worth it.
Exactly. It's like I've seen a few PTs, like even ones like around here, starting off a podcast. I've started a podcast now. It doesn't mean I'm copying them. I'm like, I've changed. My podcast is directed slightly differently to the way that they're doing it. It's not like I'm copying them. Like, the idea, right. I seen them doing it. I was like, right, I might do it now. Like, I feel like I've always thought about it, but like seeing them do it kind of give you a little bit of a push.
Aye.
Which is what you sometimes need, and that sort of thing. But I don't know, just do, if you see something, just go for it. If you want to do it, don't let anybody stop you doing it.
I'm sick of, and it's a big thing which I struggle with as well, is like being a little bit judged in not knowing the reaction of what people are going to think about you after you've done it. And like I say, that's a big thing for me on social media, because I feel like social media is a place of judgment a little bit, in sort of, but it shouldn't be like that. It's like, you shouldn't actually care what people think. And you look at all your like people who you look up to in sports stars and people like that, and you think that any of them actually give a shit about what one thought of them, like Conor McGregor, Mike Tyson, any of them. You've got to think these people who are individuals, they're the people who actually bring greatness and achieve things. So that's what you need to be doing, is not following the crowd and not being quiet because of feeling judged by people. You should be doing the opposite. You should be being loud because you've got all these ideas or opinions or whatever, and you shouldn't actually care about what people think.
Yeah, who cares if there's like people on Instagram who just leave it like send a message saying like, or like, I haven't really had too much bad messaging, but you might get the odd message like, oh, I don't believe in this sort of thing. Like, you should be doing this, or like, that workout was crap or whatever. But who cares? Like, what people think, if they don't agree with you, that's fair. You'll have people around you who support you and understand are in the same goal as you, who will push it. And like, a good thing with having people who on the similar mission, the similar sort of mindset, if you're going off track or you're doing something that is really wrong, they'll tell you. And they'll be honest with you. They'll say like straight up, like, "Oh no, I don't think that's right. Maybe you should consider this." But they'll not be like, "You're shit. Like, you should just pack in completely." Like, they'll tell you it's like constructive criticism. They'll give you that sort of, give it in the right way.
But it's always nice to be hanging around with people like that, with similar mindsets.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you sort of realise some of the people that you don't really keep in touch with anymore, or like anything like that. And then people might sort of say, you've changed, blah, blah, blah. But I think the whole point is to change. Like the whole point is to keep changing and keep getting better. So
100%. Like nobody's the same person they were 5 years ago. Like, and if you are, it's worrying. You
yeah,
should be worried
exactly.
if you're the same person, if you haven't changed at all. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy when you leave school and stuff. You have like you probably have that like maybe one, if possibly two friends that you are still friends with. The rest you might like on time send them a message on Facebook, but you're never like really interacting with them. Like the one or two people that you do still have, they'll probably have changed as well with you and be like in that similar sort of like mindset. Like
yeah,
you shouldn't really be the same person that you were, especially like 5 years ago. Like, I'm completely different. You're probably the same. You're always
yeah.
learning as well. So talking about mindset, I'd be interested actually because I've never had a fight in my entire life. That's true fact. I've never really been started on. To be fair, I don't know. I think it's handy being tall, but I'm not
Probably too
really.
tall, mate.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
it's handy being tall, like, but
no
I've
one wants
never.
that
So,
smoke.
so it'd be interesting to hear about your mindset going into a fight, kind of like maybe the night before and the morning of, and then obviously going into the ring and stuff like that. What's going through your head? Talk about the night before. We'll start off with.
Yeah, so I think the build up starts from way before that, from when you first hear about the fight. So
Yeah,
from when you first hear, you walk in the gym, coach says, Danny, got your match for boxing at Brody Braw, boxing at Whitby, in 3 weeks' time on a Saturday night against this kid. He's had this many fights. This is his record. And Brody Braw. So I think from there, it's like as soon as you hear that, it's sort of instant, like a little bit of like it's happening.
yeah,
Like this is what I've trained for, and it's finally here and it's coming. And then sort of from there, start visualizing and sort of bringing back into that sort of common sense mind again,
yeah,
and in thinking about the reason why you actually really want to do it. So this is for like first couple of fights where you're feeling this mostly. And then it sort of eases off a little bit, and then you sort of the weeks or however many days you've got. Sometimes I've got a couple of days notice, which isn't great, but
yeah,
you sort of forget about it and the time comes very quickly. And then I think the last few fights I felt really good. Like the day before, the week before, I felt really confident. I felt really calm. I started visualizing. I started doing like I started speaking to myself as well especially when I was in the sauna, because I always used to. Well, I do when we're not in lockdown, but
yeah,
I'm in the sauna like at least 4 times a week, up to 6 or 7 times a week, and then that would be my quiet place to sort of be sort of a form of meditation, and I just sort of go through a few things which I'm like thinking about myself, like confident, calm, relaxed, switched on. Them are
yeah,
like the four things I'd constantly: confident, calm, relaxed, switched on. And that sort of really helped with us. And then it get to the night before. Most of the time, I'd always get a decent sleep, but there would be like the odd time where you just
yeah,
couldn't sleep, sort of thing, and it's inevitable, and you just sort of got to get past that. Um, and I'd normally have a nap through the day before I fight it as well.
yeah,
And make sure that I had no work on that day. And I think my ritual used to be I go down to Steve's Cafe and I get some food there, just chill out by myself, and then drive to the gym. And then Mark, my coach, we'd take his car to the fight, and I'd sort of just travel with him. Um, mostly feeling anxious on the night. There's always that anxiety. It's always there. I mean, sometimes more than not. I think the last couple of fights, I felt really, really good. Where like that anxiety was there, but I knew exactly where it was.
yeah,
It wasn't sort of taking over. I knew, and I was really confident, and I was very calm, and I was happy. Um, and then sort of anxiety builds back up before, like, sort of when you start to get warmed up. So So you're sitting there watching the other fight and just like having a bit of crack on with your coach, or just on your phone chilling out. Or all my mates would normally come to watch as well, so I'd be sat with them for a bit, and then sort of I'd always be on near last, so I'd always be 13, 14 for 15 fight, because that's normally how many fights it'd be.
Yeah.
So the hour and before the first fight started, which was maybe at like 8:30, about an hour before, you'd have to go and get weighed in. So get weighed in, see the doctor with my gum shield in, check my breathing, stuff like that. And then from there, you'd have to wait. I'd normally be waiting like 5-6 hours. And I remember Whitby, that was a nightmare. That was my first fight back after like 6 years out of the ring. That was my first fight back with Mark, and we travelled down to Whitby. I was fighting this kid he'd had 6-1-4, I think.
Yeah.
And my record just carried on from back when I was a junior, which normally didn't used to happen, but it's a new rule where you just keep your record from a junior into a senior, no matter how long time you've had off.
Yeah.
So my record at the time had 5-1-3. So travel all the way down Whitby, and last one on the card. But the promise is, they said, no, we'll get you on as early as possible. You'll be the first senior on, because you travelled from Canifore, blah blah blah. 12:30, got in the ring.
Really? I get sleep. I'll be coming out of the ring like that. That's a joke.
12:30, and by this time, all the lads who'd came down to watch absolutely mortal drunk, because I'd been told I was on for 9:30.
Yeah.
So 12:30 comes, and so like I remember being quite nervous that one, and then it's soon like when you're walking into the ring, very nervous, putting the gloves on, nervous, looking across the ring, nervous, trying to do whatever feels good for you. Some people like to proper lock in with eye contact and stare each other out. I wasn't sort of into that. I was just trying to like feel nice and loose and visualize still. And then your coaches would step out the ring, and then there'd be you, your opponent, and the referee. We'd bring you in, talk to each other, a couple of rules. No fight, punching behind the head. Don't, when you're grabbing, listen to my commands at all the time, and most important rule, protect yourself at all the time. And then the bell would ring, and then you just sort of be up there on this canvas are normally about maybe 5 foot high, and like looking out to, well, you don't really look out at everyone else, but you just sort of first thing that you think is like, how small is this ring?
Yeah.
Like, it looks big. It looks big from the outside, but then you get inside, and it's not big at all. Like there's not much room at all. But then as soon as that bell rings and you start walking, like everything else goes out your head, and it's just complete focusedness from there.
Man, I'm literally just thinking about what it'd be like, because obviously you've got everybody in the ring, and I can just imagine it like kind of like panning open when the referee runs out, like moves out the way kind of thing, and you're literally just you and this guy, and you're like going through your head like, we're literally just gonna have to batter each other for the next like however many minutes. Like, I can just imagine like what's going through your head. So what's it like before the first punch is kind of like obviously through? What's going through your head at that point?
It's weird, because I honestly wish that everyone could experience this, you know.
Yeah.
Like something which I think has been really important for me, for literally just like my growth of myself. But I don't know, your first couple of fights, but I'm trying to talk back when I was younger now, when I was like 14. You don't really know exactly what to do. I mean, you've done it 100 times before in sparring.
Yeah.
but you don't really know what to do. But then I'll sort of talk about experience from the last few fights, is that, like I say, just total focusedness. You can't really hear anyone outside of the ring. You can just sort of hear the background noise.
Yeah.
The thing which I always was able to hear was my coach, who like sort of sits beneath the ropes. Mark Closell, who's the owner of Vision Gym.
Yeah.
He was my main coach, and he always had like a really sort of like sort of a quiet, sort of calm voice, and I'd always be able to pick that out very easily. But before the first punch is thrown, you're sort of still just working. I'm very dialed in and focused. There's nothing erratic going through my brain. It's just literally looking at the way that he moves. First off, is he left-handed or right-handed?
Yeah.
Looking at the way that he moves. How does he move about the ring? Is he sort of upright? Is he tall? Does he look like he's got a sort of a stylish sort of way to him, or an elusive? Or is he a slow guy? Is he coming forward? Does he look like he wants to have a big punch up with you? That's pretty much what I'm trying to do before I threw that first punch, is to work out what he is sort of thinking.
Yeah.
Work out what kind of boxer he is and what fight I'm going to have to fight to beat him.
Yeah. So there's a big mental side to it, isn't it? Massive mental side.
Mate, it's way more mental than physical. Like, I remember one of the fights I went to Whitby, I beat that kid. I went to I fought a kid from Kenton. It's up in Gateshead. I beat him. He was a southpaw. He was a little bit different. So like, for people who don't really know that much about boxing, like when you're fighting someone, 9 times out of 10 you'll come across someone who's the same stance as you, right-handed, which means left foot forward, right foot back.
Yeah.
If you've got someone who's a southpaw, who's left-handed, you're fighting in a sort of a mirror image.
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
I've got my left foot forward, he's got his right foot forward. We're always stepping on each other's toes. With jabs are both meeting together. Like, it's a little bit awkward, and it's about the fight who can take the outside line, so who's got the right angle to get a backhand through. But then I remember that fight, I was really calm, and like that was one of the best I've boxed. Like, really happy with myself. Won unanimous, and then the fight after that, I took on a fight from a kid from the same gym, so from the Kenton gym, who was a little bit more experienced than me. We're roughly the same weight. And I remember that fight was in Gosforth, and the venue was massive, and I had all my pals come to watch. He had all his pals to watch, and it was his home show. We never had a home show, which is like a home show is your own boxing club has maybe 10 lads on fighting, but there was never that many lads for us. It was literally just pretty much me.
Yeah.
Amateurs, because Mark used to train Big Stevie Hightower and Bassi, who are pros, so there wasn't many amateurs. But I remember that fight going in like the place was fucking electric, like because we were sort of one of the main event, like I think we were last or second last to fight, and the noise coming out of there like was massive, like just people like shouting on and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, my pals and my family, his pals and his family, like shouting on. In that one, I didn't really feel that good going into it, to be honest. I felt a little bit, I don't know, I went on the sunbeds the night before, and I got burned to bits off these sunbeds. Like, I remember like being really restless and just a little bit tired, and I got into that, and I was very flat. I lost that fight. I was very flat for the 3 rounds, but the big thing was I let my emotions get ahead of us. So I remember first round pretty even. second round, shite. He definitely beat us in that round, and I thought he might have clinched it on the first round because he's at his home show, and that's normally the way it goes. If it's even, it's going to go to. So I was like, right, I definitely need to win this last round, and I got so upset with myself and angry. I never ever get angry, but I got really angry, and just ended up having a proper punch out with him, and didn't box like to my strengths or anything like that.
Yeah.
And that was one thing which I never done again, was to let that stupid anger get out and get in the way of my thoughts process and my focus thinking sort of thing.
Yeah, it must be hard though to keep you, because I can imagine. Well, to be fair, like my mates like slaps across the face, like just as a joke, and I get really pissed off for that. Like I can't deal with just a slap across the face. Never mind, like if someone's punching you in the face, trying to actually keep you calm must be quite hard. I was a question to ask actually. What's it like actually getting like? Have you ever been knocked out or not?
No.
No, not really. What have you been knocked to the floor or anything before or not?
Nah.
No,
I've been, but I mean, I used to go and spar this really great kid from Washington. He was a bit heavier than me as well, much more experienced, and I always used to go and spar him. He was my best sparring partner. I learned loads from him, and he was a heavy hitting lad. And I remember every single time we'd go every Saturday. The first round he'd hit us with either a left hook or a right hook, just on the sort of like right on top of the temple, and I'd always like, Mark would say, like, you get buzzed, so like you get a little bit buzzed, so like sort of just disorientated for a second, your legs sort of like lock up for a second, and then you know if it's a big one if your legs start to go jelly, but normally it would just like, and then I'd relax again, and then I'd be like, right, there's my first one out the way, it's woke us up, and then just go there. But with in a fight, first of all, your adrenaline is through the roof. Like, it's going to take quite a lot for me to get knocked out, like, off anything, because you can hardly feel the punches, especially in the first bit of the rounds, like the first half of the rounds. But it's one of them misconceptions, I think, where you would get angry. Like, you never, if you're a good boxer, you don't get that angry. And it's because it's second nature. Like, you spar every week, you train 4 times a week. This is just something that I do, and this is somewhere where I actually am comfortable in the ring fighting someone. And getting hit is more frustration about yourself rather than because he's just the opponent. He doesn't matter one single bit. It's all about yourself. So like, the only times I would get frustrated was, I should have easy slipped that punch or whatever. But like, it would more be like, it would never be that. And at the end, one of the great things about boxing as well, at the end of the fight, no matter how much like you've hit each other and try to knock each other out, because you do try and knock each other out, like, them gloves aren't very big, the 10-ounce gloves, when you're fighting, and they do hurt after a while. Afterwards, it's just total respect and humbleness.
Oh, I can 100% get that. If you know what you're going through, and that other person's going through the exact same thing, so I can understand that. Yeah. 100%.
And no matter who wins or loses, it's never a show off. Well, you do get a couple of show offs, but not that many. It's more, you'd always go over, shake a hand, thank you, mate, good fight. You go and shake their corner's hand, and just total respect, because like you say, we're the only two in the ring. We're doing this for ourselves, and we're entertaining you at the same time. If you've got any opinions, you can have them, but you don't know shit unless you're training 4 times a week, you're running 4 times a week, and you're not partying, and you're not going out drinking. You're missing a lot of things, and you're not putting the sacrifice in that we are.
Yeah, no, 100%. I have a lot of respect for anybody who does boxing kind of thing, because like the mindset you must have to go in and literally just scrapping for like, how long are the rounds? Is it 3-minute rounds?
2-minute rounds.
2-minute rounds.
3 2-minute rounds, and then if you go higher, it goes 4 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, but just the
Tell you
amount
what, their minute rounds are.
long.
You don't 2 minutes is a lot, mate.
Yeah.
I've never been in a more uncomfortable place than that last round. If you're fighting for a win, if you know you're not winning and you've got to keep going and you're absolutely drained physically and mentally, it's weird because like you could literally just fall over and collapse in a ball with exhaustion, but you can't because someone's trying to hit you.
I know. Jeez, like what's going through your head there, man? Like, you've got to stand up and fight, like no matter what. Like you can't show any sign of weakness as well. Like for yourself, if you're like last round, you can't because
that's always a big thing. Like getting back up out of your seat once the 10-second bell's rang and you're ready to do round 2 or round 3. Standing up and sort of taking a big breath, looking over, is he breathing hard or not? Sort of that mental thing again. Then like getting hit with shots. Like I remember, I'd always catch people with like the left hook over the top, and you'd know if you buzzed them because you'd see in their eyes, it's sort of like blink and go fuck.
Yeah.
Which like you shouldn't do because then from there it's like, right, I've buzzed them, I'm going to go hard now.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that like a trigger to like go, right, I've got you now?
Yeah, massively.
You're having it sort of thing, yeah.
Massively.
Like, it is a big, like, you can tell that you're very mindful about things that you were talking about, your sauna, like routine and stuff like that. I think that like will stand you in good stead because I think a lot of maybe like more amateur boxers probably do go in it with the mindset as like, I'm going to batter you rather than like the more technical aspect of like, right, I'm looking at the way that you're looking, right, I need to keep myself calm, I need to focus on this, that and the other. I think obviously the higher up you go, you'll probably find like it'd be interesting to talk about like Anthony Joshua seems like a big one who's very mindful. Like Tyson, he's very switched on.
He's very switched on.
He's very switched on, you can tell.
Yeah, massively. And I think the biggest one for which I see is McGregor is like,
oh mate, yeah, 100%.
He's all about that visualization.
Yeah, he's big. He tries to get in people's heads and stuff as well, which I love. Like he knows everything he does. He knows what he's doing. Even people might think he comes across like a dick sometimes and stuff, but he knows what he's doing. At the end of the day, like,
he knows exactly what he's doing. And, like it's good fun as well. Like watching from a spectator's point of view.
Yeah, he's entertainment. That's what he's there for. That's what you are there for. You are entertainers. Like
at the end of the day, that's what pays the bills for the pro fighters is how many people you get a year.
Exactly, and he's one of the reasons why UFC. Well, you can't put it completely down to him, but he is one of the reasons why it's kind of grown because he's a big entertainer, massive entertainer. Yeah. And massive respect to anybody who fights, boxing, UFC, anything like that. like just it baffles me. But last little thing, I know you've got to get away for a client.
Yeah.
Last week you ran a half marathon. I want to quickly know what was going through your head. Was it just an out of blue sort of thing, or? I know you Ben Kitchen and Alex Kitch obviously all ran half marathon. I want to know what it was like.
Well, first of all, you can blame Alex for that.
I knew it would be this idea. Yeah.
I mean, we always have ideas. Oh, should we do this? Should we do? Came up with some real stupid shit. Let's do an Iron Man.
Yeah.
Let's do triathlon, bloody blah. But then, like this time, we thought, like, fancy running it was Alex, I think, fancy running a half marathon. I was like, aye, right, good that. Like, oh, should we do it this weekend? Aye, however, we'll do it this weekend. Like, and sort of just done it. Didn't really do that much training for it either. I mean, I run, but I run like max 5 miles. Like that's pretty much me. But yeah, that was something totally different. Like it was just sort of one of them where a bit of a frisk. Let's put our minds to the test.
Yeah, I think running literally is just mental, completely mental. Obviously, there's the physical side to it, but when you get to a certain level of fitness, I think it is just mental. Like
it definitely is, mate. Definitely, in the thing which I seen was for me, proves this point was I had my app, my Nike app on the thing, and I'm looking at average miles, and I averaged like 7 minutes 20 seconds per mile.
Yeah.
That was the average for the full 13 miles, and I'd normally average that for a 5 mile run anyways.
Yeah.
So back to the point that like it got to like mile 7 or 8, I think, where I was like, sun was beating down on us. I had my headphones on, blah blah. I was dehydrated, and it was just a case of just putting one step in front of the other.
That's all it
But
is,
then
yeah.
sort of got to a point where I was like, I was starting to feel really shit and had that voice in your head, stop running, stop running now. Like, no, fuck you, bitch. Keep running. And like, it was just like, right now, I'm going to start to pick the feet up and I'm going to have this pace of 1, 2, 1, 2. And I ended, like I say, I ended up with a decent time where I just sort of, nothing else was going through my mind, just sort of 1, 2, 1, 2, just block everything out.
I know, it is, like you said, it's 100% mental, like, and it's the same with me when I don't really run that much, but when I've done runs before, I've done like, to be fair, the longest I've done is like 6.5K, but my pace is just the same. I think my legs, I struggle to keep a high pace, but I can just keep that same pace all the way through. So it'd probably just be the same sort of thing. Like if I did ever attempt to do one, it would just be keeping that pace and then just keep it in your own head. Like
you should do that.
See if you don't challenges on the podcast, mate. I'm gonna have to do one now. Don't stitches up.
It's humbling. It's definitely humbling.
I know the things like that. You probably felt great afterwards, like.
100%. Well, not straight after. I felt quite sick straight after. Honestly, honestly this serious. I had a surge of motivation for like the week, like for another week. Like I've done that. That really hurt my body and hurt my head. Like I can do anything now, sort of thing.
Yeah, no, that's like that. You've done something so hard. Everything else is just easy.
Seems easy.
But, but we'll jump on to the last 3 questions, which we'll quickly finish off with. 3 people you'd like to invite round for dinner or go for a coffee with if you want to.
Right.
Past or present?
3 people. Past or present. So
yeah, past or present, whatever.
Muhammad Ali, always. 100%. Love him. Such a character, such an intelligent man. Superhuman. Definitely Muhammad Ali. I would go with probably someone like Eminem.
Yeah.
I would have a lot of questions to ask him about his music.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And some of the hidden lyrics, like you just want to, you'll never know. And then 3rd would probably be Will Smith.
Yeah.
Love Will Smith.
I think someone else has said him before, actually. Who's been on the podcast,
I love his mentality. I don't know if you've ever seen his the video stuff that he does on his Instagram. He's got like motivational talks and stuff.
Yeah. I've seen the thing about skydiving. The thing that he talked about skydiving. I've seen that one there. But he's big. He started doing a lot more like YouTube and stuff. He's like branched into different avenues and stuff now. So he's very switched on. So 3 people you'd like to train with, slightly different. Could be boxing wise. It could be gym related. Could be anything.
Yeah. Boxing. 3 people I like to train with would be Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
100%. Someone else I'd like to train with. For my younger self, Mike Rashid.
Yeah. That would be good to train with.
I still keep up with all his content. I still watch his stuff.
He's a bit more of a businessman now, isn't he? That's what he's branched into, I think. Yeah.
And the thing I like about him is the way that he's sort of corrected himself as he's went along. Like some things which he said before, he doesn't do now, and like he's always about the right answer. It doesn't really matter like what I've said before. I'll agree that I was wrong or whatever. And I like the fact that people that just want to get down to the point and like actually know the right answers and shit like that.
Yeah.
That'll probably be it for them.
Right, and then the last one, there's one thing you'd say to yourself 5 years ago.
Chill out and be happy more. Don't worry about what's coming. As long as you're working hard, things will happen, and stop worrying about like you always have to be doing something. Just enjoy being in the moment more.
No, that's solid advice. That I should take that advice on. To be fair, I'm the same. If I tell myself that a little bit, I'm listening to you, mate. But quickly shout out your Instagram because I know you need to get off for a client. Just where people can find you.
Yes, D Rippon 1. That is my Instagram. I'm on Facebook as DR Fitness. That's D space R space fitness. And that's my social media at the minute.
Spot on, mate. No, but it's been a pleasure having you on. Plenty of good things we're talking about there. So
Enjoyed it.
appreciate you taking the time out now. It's been good, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
Wicked.